Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go ahead and start sharing this out. Got a lot of good things to talk about today, and want to make sure we have a good audience. Let me see. Let me get everybody on. Yep, keep coming in. Keep coming in. Yep. And as I go through today, we'll talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the end of the school year. I know everyone's happy. This is like the first official day of summer. A lot of educators, a lot of parents are, taking a much needed break. It's been a up and down year. And so happy that we have made it through. We'll talk a little bit about summer school starting up in the next 8 to 10 days. Also today, we'll talk about Propel board actions that we have had this past week and even yesterday. So we'll show some video from there. We'll highlight our new fellowship class that's starting tomorrow at 6. So we're pretty pumped. Want to just shout out some powerful parent leaders who really showed heart, literally showed heart yesterday. And then also like highlight some of our organizers. And then we want to hear from you guys about the things that matter most to you as parents. And so check on in, say good morning. Shout out to Miss Wilson. She was out at the board action along with her son, right out the buying a freshly new blue machine. So thank you, Miss Wilson, for coming out. Yep, check on in. Let me pull this up. And let me know how your week has been going. It's been good. Miss Gardner. Miss Gardner is starting with us. She is one of those fellows that we're talking about that is starting tomorrow. So thank you for jumping on, Miss Gardner. All righty, let's see. Let me pull it through. All righty. All right, so we will jump right into it. What the question I have, as we have people coming on, what are you most excited about for the summertime? What are you most excited about for the summertime? Like what really gets you excited, gets you going as you think about this summer? Just let me know. And good morning to you, Mr. Driver. Let me know how the summertime is going. All righty. And as we have people come in, some of you guys who are on here seen it. Some of you guys were in it yesterday, but I want to play a little bit of the action that we had yesterday with our parents who came out. These are parents who just said they want to speak up. They want to show power. And we had a really good action yesterday where we had a fairly sizable group driving around in protest of not hearing and seeing a plan around the personalized learning plan. This is something that we've been talking about for at least most of the summer, especially since we got back in school. We've had meetings with the district, meetings with our powerful parent leaders. And then at this point, it got to the level where they wanted to do something about it. And I see you, Ivory, family trips, Miss Gardner being able to relax. Yep. Daughter and I exhausted. And I know for my son too, it's been trying to keep up virtual. He ended up doing decently well. I think he never got a chance to pick up his math grade. And so for us, I'm just happy. We know we got the summer school program, but there's a summer program he's been doing at Fisk for the past 3 or 4 summers. And although it's not free, I just thought as a celebration, like give them back to some normalcy where it's normal that you get to hang out with your friends, run around in the hot sun, drink Kool-Aid, get some academic enrichment, maybe take some field trips. We just thought after this year it was needed. And the family trips, yeah, we don't have anything on the books, but family trips are much needed too. You never realize what you got until it's gone. And the family trips and just taking a break is definitely something that we can forget about, that hasn't happened in so long, but so happy that we're going to have an opportunity again. All righty. Let me pull this through. And so the action yesterday was really the parents had a goal that I heard. The goal was to get Dr. Battle to schedule a meeting with parents to really discuss the plan. I know they have been talking about the academic performance framework. That's something that Sonia and I talked about on Access Denied, which we thought was great. But without a real plan, it wasn't enough to really recover the learning loss. And so shout out to Cliff Torvis and Thomas, who just organized the parents in a caravan just to make their voices heard. There was a lot going on in the board meeting, but to get their message across, I know the Tennessean reported out, the new education reporter for WPLN, but I think it was a turning point where really, as you don't see her today, you didn't see Sonya. And it was showing, part of Natural Propel, our mission is to grow powerful parent leaders. And as we think about our organizing team, parents who have kids in the school system, parents who have gone through our school system, it was a moment where as she was off at another meeting, they got a chance to still carry out the action, engage parents, and debrief with the parents afterwards around what's next. So that was awesome. And so one of the things that we're trying to decide, like when is a plan coming? We've had parents like Sparkle, Miss Zerker, and Miss Holt, like come and talk to representatives at the district. We have had opportunities as a children's cabinet to really discuss it with teachers, with parents, and other educators. And now we've just reached a moment where I think the budget was passed yesterday. I think it was a billion. This time it was a billion. Last year it was about 927 million. This year, I want to say it was 1.1 billion, and I'll pull up the numbers on that. But it was interesting as you hear the parent perspective, but also looking at like just what are parents really asking for. And so this has been an interesting time to see where we go, because I know parents are still fed up, parents are still organizing, and parent numbers are still growing. And so I want to talk just for one. And if you guys know who I'm talking about, you'll know exactly what I mean. But just before we jump into the rest of this show, I want to give a really big shout out to Luma Shahid Abdul. Luma was having medical issues that I heard about over this past weekend. And I did not expect to see her or hear her when the parents came in, and watch her walk through that door, still fired up and ready to go, even after having medical issues. I just thought we needed to take a moment. If you know Luma, send her a message, encourage her. Health is wealth. But we really do appreciate you, Luma, for continuing to be the powerful parent leader that you are. And so we'll jump right back into it. One of the things that we talk about, what do we want to see in the new school year? Pretty soon in the next 5 or 6 days, it'll be June 1st. And so we'll have, all of June, all of July, and then the beginning of August, we'll start to go back to school. And so my question to parents, what are your expectations when we start back school in August? Like, what do you expect academically? What do you expect culturally? What do you expect around like safety when we think about COVID, when we think about just overall, safety previously was around, we had a lot of issues with bullying. And so how do you want your child's school to look when you start back in August? And that's a question I would love to get feedback. How do you want your child's school to look like? How does it look culturally? As we think about the bullying, right? What does it look safety wise as we think about there still may be a mask mandate, there may not be a mask mandate. And then most importantly, academically, the law is being set in place where if your kids are not reading on grade level by the third grade, a lot of what we've been talking about over the last several weeks, like there's an opportunity for tutoring, which we talked about at our speaker series. Thank you to Emily Freetag. There's an opportunity for after school programming, but also like the big bad wolf in that is the retention piece. And so would love to get that feedback as parents, as we think and we plan as we get ready for August for back to school. Yeah, and chime on in and continue to share it out, but let me know. Yeah. And I tell you some of the things that a lot of parents are talking about, especially as we went through the fellowship, when we think about how do we want school to look when our kids go back, it's really connected to meeting the students where they are. We realized during this pandemic with our kids learning at home, we knew where they were excelling at, we knew where they were struggling at, but to see it and to realize that it still is and continues to be a problem, I think brought a lot of concern to us. And so when we hear from parents, and we've been communicating with parents in Andrew Jackson and Westchester, a lot of them are saying that they want to make sure the schools are going all in to make sure their kids are succeeding. Because a lot of times, why we wanted to hear from parents, because we initially heard that parents are not at the table. Parents really need more of a vested interest. And as I talk to parents, I realize it's there, but it's a communications gap. And so we have to ask ourselves if parents want to be involved, and parents want to be tuned in, where is the disconnect? I met a family who said, they started at one school went back in and realized fairly quickly that the school didn't meet the standard, because they went in to see how were the kids wearing masks, was it going to be a safe environment. They realized pretty quickly, culturally and academically, that it was just not there. And so would love to continue to get you guys feedback on what does school look like, because I think the more parents talk about it and visualize what school looks like, it gives schools, school leaders, school principals, central office or support hub the opportunity to make it look like we want it. And so I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about social emotional learning. And my question is for everyone: how do you feel? What do you know? What we call the acronym SEL, which stands for social emotional learning. And have you guys heard about some of the things that are coming down the pike for social emotional learning right at our schools? All right. And so while I'm waiting on those comments, I really want to play a short video of the action that we had a chance to do yesterday. Looking at it again this morning, really strong, really respectful, but came with a true demand. And so I'm gonna play a little bit of that, and then we'll discuss a little bit of it after the video ends. And as you saw in that clip, as parents were chanting PLP for the personalized learning plan, instead of like listening to concerns, they just decided to end the meeting, in the whole school board meeting. But I think as I looked at parents and just heard them as they were debriefing after the meeting, one, they were confused why you would end it, coupled with the question of why don't we just have the conversation? And so as I think about, and if you were there, would just love your feedback, your commentary on like how you felt during the caravan, the protest afterwards, and then what are some of the things that you want to do next? Because I think it's important to listen to parents who have just been on this journey, who have been on calls, who have been in meetings, who have been talking to other parents. And so really be on the lookout, because what we heard from a lot of parents after that event, some of who were not there, who couldn't make it, like they're ready to double down, and they really want to see this thing through. And the question starts to be asked, but what else do we deserve? What else that we need to be thinking about for our kids as we look at the August restart? And so I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, this is a short one, first day of summer. So getting a lot of things organized, but be on the lookout. Please, please, please pay attention to our page. Please be on the lookout for an organizer near you giving you a call. We will be back here next Wednesday, starting in June. But thank you guys for checking us out, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks a lot.